For me, one of the hardest parts of completing assignments in school was just getting started sometimes. I mean, I would sit there, it felt like for hours, with the hammer and chisel in my hand. Just kidding. I would sit there with my fingers on the keyboard, and it felt like the ideas just wouldn't come. Artificial intelligence, like ChatGPT and other tools, are a powerful way to help get started on assignments. And that's just one of the ways you can utilize these tools. Maybe you've had moments that you wished you had someone you could brainstorm with to figure out what idea to even run with. This is another use of this tool. And there are powerful, powerful ways you can utilize these tools to help you be even more successful. So what I told it was, the assignment was to take an argument, an assignment had been given to read an article that made an argument. And the assignment was to analyze the argument, the evidence, and the claims, and something else. And so I picked an article that relates to this topic, and I told it focus on, by the way, because it has such a large network, you can use absolutely plain language. You don't have to know fancy ways to word it. You can say, pay attention to this, or look at that, or focus on this thing, or you can use slang, and it will understand every bit of it. Focus on Nicholas Carr's article, is Google making us stupid? This is a fantastic article if you haven't had a chance to read it. It's on the internet. And so all I have to do is tell it to look at that. It will go find it, read it, and prepare whatever I'm about to tell it. Let's see, write 3 pages to save time. 3-page paper evaluating his arguments, evidence, and claims. This is all can be copied and pasted. Matter of fact, you're going to be able to see here in a minute a little copy and paste button is going to show up here. And it's going to crank out a remarkably well-written, probably, article about this. And to be honest with you, one of the assignments that I've given my students is already this semester twice, is they have to go generate a paper using ChatGPT. They have to edit it, and they have to submit it with their name on it. That's why they have to cite it. Because there will be problems. Like I told you, butcher is the person you see the most. Doctor may not be the right answer, and so it's gonna create this article, and I'm gonna stop it because it'll just keep writing. And it's probably a pretty decent argument. Matter of fact, I don't know anything about HGTC students, and so I'll talk about our students. It's better than what most of our students write. Like, it's at least a B paper. Our students, and this is true, as you know, of college students all over America, are coming to college with very poor writing skills. And so the fact that this can write at that level, matter of fact, one of the tricks that students have been using is this is the beginning of the cool thing that I was telling you about. Remember I told you right, you can see it now. Remember I told you that one of the most amazing parts was the chat? Once I give it a prompt, I'm going to pause it here. Once I give it a prompt, this is just the beginning. That's not the magic. We've been able to generate things for a while. The magic starts when you begin interacting with it, and OpenAI calls it steering. Once it gives you something and you start steering it, that's when it goes next level on top of next level. Like me telling it, now write that thing as a freshman. Or I can say, and make it in MLA style and include 2 references. Or citations, we'll say citations. Now, I'm going to start changing this thing that it gave me, and I'll start steering it this direction or making it more what I want. I may get to a point where I realize, that really was what I wanted. Go back and do this other thing. Or I'll make it say sound more academic, or write it as a second-year PhD student, or write it as a professor. I wrote a letter of recommendation for somebody a few weeks ago and I used ChatGPT to do it. I don't know how long it takes you to write letters of recommendation, but it takes me about 2 hours. And maybe I'm just a slow writer, but to actually craft it from first word to signature, it takes me a while. And so I went into ChatGPT back in the summer. It was actually for an award. And I said, I forgot to tell you this. One of the ways that you can steer it from the beginning is giving it a role to play. This is a powerful way to tell it what to do. And so I said, imagine you're the associate dean at a state university, period. Write a letter of recommendation for a faculty member named XXX. And I intentionally didn't include their name because of the ethics concern. I did not want to be putting their name in the system with characteristics. And so I used XXX that I could find and replace when I was done. You could use anything like, Dr. Dan Weinstein. You could use a different name as long as you replace it. And I said, write a letter of recommendation for this award, and the award was available online, the requirements for it, and focus on these 3 characteristics. I've known her for 5 years, and make it sound professional. Bam. And it cranked out with something way too long. And I went back and said, no, make it 2 pages. And I said, no, make it sound more academic. And I said, no, really focus on this other thing. And it took me about 10 minutes to really steer it and get it where I wanted. And then it gave me something that took me a couple minutes to clean up and change some wording on, and I was done. You know what the punchline of that story is? It took me 10 minutes. Something that used to take me 2 hours took me 10 minutes. I don't want my students sitting in front of their keyboard for 30 minutes trying to think of an opening sentence. They're awful. I get since the history of the world, communication has been at the middle of everything that everyone has ever done that's of any importance. And then they'll have these horrible, connectors and sort of stuff. I don't want to do that either. It takes me a long time to get jump started on some of these letters. And so this is a powerful tool for drafting. It's an incredibly powerful tool for steering.